Okay, let's try and get a meteor game actually, because that was quite action-packed yesterday actually, and a meteor 15-minute game. I think I might want to go over some more over-the-board games actually from recent tournaments and events. So let's see. There's a 5-minute game between Bronstein and Spassky, which is quite interesting as well. He shows no, not a 5-minute game, a bullet game, which I think I briefly mentioned. And I think Spassky, you know, played his king out very riskily, just for fun. I think Spassky, Bronstein, and Tal seem to be good friends and kind of adventurous types, as well as, you know, attacking creative players. So in 1989, could play Morris Smith or just maybe a main 9 Sicilian. I'm your fan. Okay. Yeah, for YouTube interview. Hope it doesn't crush me too badly. Play this bishop g5. So f4 queen f3 Tau-like line. I'm hoping he's not going to play queen b6. Call me paranoid, but everyone that seems to play the poison pawn against me seems to win in a very technical manner. I don't know if it's a favourite of Fritz, the poison pawn variation. Queen b6. It's like a quick way of saying, if indicating if someone's an engine abuser if they play the poison pawn. I don't know. So I'll play for bishop f6 and g5. You know, quiet stuff. I like the. I used to like the look of this line. Someone was playing this, a very strong player. I like the look of it. It's sort of aggressive, but like downsides, you know, like e5 square could be a downside. But I think I will. Should I take here or bishop h4? Bishop h4. I wonder g5. So I think I will take maybe h4, g5. Let's just go for the king side. Pawn storm. Some people call it pawn storm or pawn avalanche, or gaining space is another way of saying it. Knight b5, I don't think so. You can either like move his queen or queen a5. So I think I'll go with h4 here, and if g5 takes, and queen's on h1. f5 might be interesting. Knight e5, queen g3, but then the dark squares are all broken up, e5 and g5. So I think h4. So probably dissuading him from castling here. Something like g5 coming up. Bishop d4, rook d4. Where does this bishop belong anyway? Just eyeing c4 here. Okay. I think I will take. He wants to get control of e5, positional sacrifice. So do I let him? Do I just play fg anyway? Try and get the f file. Knight e5, queen g3, or queen h2. What is f5? Just put pressure on e6. It's knight e5. I think f5 might be interesting, but fg might actually be good for the f file. So knight e5 looks positionally good, and I'm still thinking f5 is just better for some reason. Knight e5, queen h1, say. then there's the threat of Fe, the tearing into this diagonal here. So I'm going to go for F5. So knight e5, queen h1, bishop moves, something like queen h5 as well as Fe, more subtle. Or instead of queen h1, what about just queen h3 and say bishop g7, queen h5. So knight e5, queen h3, bishop g7, queen h7. Where would the bishop move there? So I think queen h3 might be better than queen h1. Could go with that, queen h3. So bishop g7, queen h7. Right. So there's queen h5 here if I want to threaten Fe. I think there isn't too much else. So that f5, and that's justifying the pawn there anyway instead of on g5. His bishop's tied down protecting g5 anyway. It's just a more intact pawn structure. So actually bishop e2, rook f1, f takes would be exposing the bishop. Also maybe queen h6 hits the bishop. Say queen e7. Is there a knight d5 takes? Always take the bishop. My principal threat is f takes e. So say e takes, actually there's knight d5 there, hitting queen and bishop. Queen d8 looks to be a disaster without seeing anything concrete. It just looks like a monster knight on d5. So I think queen h5 is hopefully causing a problem. This whole idea of f5 and queen h5 hopefully is causing more of an issue than if I just played fg. So he still hasn't castled queenside. So bishop d7, fe is on the cards. F takes e6. This knight b5 is not working at the moment, I think. Takes, queen moves, say to a5, knight d6, end of checks. The knight here is supporting f7, otherwise queen f7 will be dangerous. What else? Not really. If I move this bishop and get to play rook h1, is there a queen sack check, takes, king e7, there's nothing after that. Bishop moving there is pointless. Bishop check is another forcing move to consider. Takes, knight d6, king e7. Again, there's a situation where don't know what happens after that. So anyway, it's his move. If it was a normal like over the board game, I think I'd be wandering around just waiting for the opponent's move, because sometimes there's no point like calculating if okay, so well, check here is on actually e6 potentially, but I want to keep that going, I think, for bishop e2 and rook f1 for fe, so I'm going to play bishop e2. So I want to play rook f1 now and f takes e. It looks to be a success, the opening so far. A good advantage, maybe more advantage than if I played you know, the Morris Smith, which can always be declined, you know, going into c3 Sicilian territory. So this looks like more interesting. For rook f1, f takes e. Okay. Right, so just rook f1 looks the most logical. Unless there's anything stronger. Fe immediately would stop ef. Is that worth it? Actually, there's no harm, I think, in Fe, is there? Unless there's defensive resources used by these squares. But otherwise, if rook f1 here, isn't that e takes, knight takes? So I think I'm tempted by f takes. Bishop takes, rook f1 looks really dangerous. Because if bishop moves, knight e6 check. I think this just looks crushing for rook f1. And at this point, I'm starting to think from the recent feed open, I'm missing resources later on. Maybe a shallow sort of searching is a bad habit of blitz. So I'm wondering if I should be really looking deeper in this promising position, or trying to. But it seems so convincing, you know, emotionally convincing, that rook f1 is just a strong move to play here, because it's getting pin. That's like one emotional signal. This is just a pin, you know, it's so dangerous here. Do I need to like calculate after? Like king e7, queen h7 looks crushing. It just looks like rook f1 is crushing without much further calculation needed here. This rook's not amazingly defensive, nor the queen. If he plays bishop e6, okay, let's try and look at this. So rook f1. Let's say king e7, queen h7 check, and then the king moves and then rook takes f6. So it looks quite crushing. The knight on e5, yeah, that's a positional trump card in black's position. But I've got these tactical trump cards, which the king's safety looks just blown to bits here. So rook f1, will it be rook f1, or is there something stronger then? There's queen h6, bishop g7. I wouldn't say there's anything amazing after that. There was knight e6 if I want to win a pawn or something. I think just rook f1. If king e7, actually, queen h7, there's knight f7. I have given a defensive resource there, which could be a big shame actually. Oh dear. So maybe it was better just to play rook f1. This f7 square for the knight. Oh dear, but there's e5, isn't there, and knight e4 there. That doesn't look that amazing. e5, knight e4. So I'll go with that. So king e7, queen h7, knight f7, there's e5 takes, knight e4. Oh, that's going to happen. There's also rook h8 on the cards. There's rook f6 takes, queen h6. Do I go for this anyway? Queen h7, knight f7. There's actually threatening rook h8. It's starting to get a bit dangerous. So queen h6, rook f8. Isn't it actually knight f5 check here? Because if it takes, then knight d5 winning the queen. So knight f5 looks quite crushing actually. Knight f5, king d8. Or king f8. King d8, there's no check, is there? So queen h6, that might be useful there. If rook f8, there's knight f5. If king e8, Is there a clean kill there? Well, in fact, rook f6, king takes, queen h, there's knight g6. Yeah, okay. So I'll go for this, I think, queen h6. So there's no rook h8 because the queen takes f6. If rook f8, maybe knight f5 check, looks dangerous, but king e8, and I'm not sure how to proceed. Maybe queen h5. There's also knight d5 check takes the knight f5. No, he takes this. So knight f5 is the key resource, which is useful, it seems. So knight f5, king e8, keeping hold of the rook. Knight g7 he just takes. Is there anything else clever here? Knight f5. To g3. There's a pin on f8. Knight f5. King e8. Knight f5, king e8. There's nothing. Queen h5. Can't see anything. I wonder about queen h5 then for knight f5. There's no way of adding pressure to the black position here, it seems. Knight f5 to g3, is that at all useful? Because I don't know. Knight h5 might be a dangerous threat there. If he plays bishop g7, he's got bishop g7 almost. Takes, queen g5. At least knight h5 will be a threat. In this current position, it seems this knight's not really doing anything there. So I'll go for this. So knight g3, just a plane for knight h5. I can't see anything at all better, actually. Than this idea of knight g3 to h5. It's funny, but there probably is something better. Actually, there's knight takes d6 here and rook f6. If I just want to get a pawn, will I be punished for that? It does get a centre pawn. Rook f6 does go on to g5 later. There doesn't seem to be much severe counterplay, so that looks to be slightly stronger anyway than knight g3. Knight d6, queen d6, rook f6. Oh, I'll go for that. If that's the only thing available. It's the only thing available. It does win a centre pawn. What more can I really hope? Yeah. It's not a mating net situation, but he's left with that strong knight on e5, but I've won a pawn. With that pawn comes actually knight d5 as well on the cards, as well as queen g5, of course. But knight d5 wouldn't threaten much. Okay, let's see. So what does he play here? Say rook f6, queen f6. I've got a passive bishop, he's got an active knight. This bishop can also come out. If I can just take this pawn maybe and play check and then g5, just drag this pawn along. Also that would open up the bishop for h5 use, but the king's going to like go over there. Maybe it's the g pawn that could win this game. Nothing else is that mobile here apart from this 3-2 is a long way away. This g pawn is the only thing. If I can win g5. Is there a check? Hopefully there's no counterplay. No, queen d4 looks a bit scary, as though that's well, it's threatening to win the queen with knight d3 straight off the bat. Queen takes g5. Actually, he's on the diagonal, so check. Bishop d1. Okay, hopefully there isn't too many major checks. So queen d4 threatens knight d3. Queen g5 stops queen e3. Queen g1, bishop d1. I'm also protecting g4. I think knight f3 doesn't look that dangerous. I've got checks if nothing else. Okay. So knight d5 he can just take here. Can I get the queen just to protect the position here? Say queen f2. That's thwarted quite a few things. I'll play queen f2. Maybe queen queen up here, computer move that I saw last night. There's a chess-based article with someone cheating with queen a7. It's the history of cheating on chess-base at the moment. So queen a7 poking into the position. No, I don't know if that's a useful move to consider here. It seems a bit radical. What about just b3, king b2, going into a pin with queen e5? Doesn't look too hot. b3 is ruled out. Just queen e3 for a moment. Just trying to keep the position stable. Bishop d3. Maybe queen a7 is actually a good move here on b7. As bishop c6. No, I have to stop thinking about that rubbish. So queen e3 or bishop d3. What about bishop d3? Just solidify the position a little bit. Or e4 against bishop c6. What about knight e2 and queen d4? Knight e2 actually stops queen f4 check. Okay. Under pressure here. I'm going to get more pressure. What about queen e3? Is that better? There's queen h2. What about b3 there? He could play. There's almost a check, but there isn't quite. Okay, now I'm getting defensive. Oh dear. This doesn't look so clear cut anymore. Maybe it was never clear cut. I can play b3 here though. Oh, he's going to be on. If I go like this, I'm protecting both against knight f6. So there still might be knight. There isn't now knight e2 on the cards. He's on e4 and g4. So this is a hard game, indeed. If I just for a moment, let's just tuck the king over somewhere. If I play king b1 to he's got knight d5 now. Oh dear. As a tactic, things are getting worse. Knight d5, queen d2. Oh dear. What about knight takes d5? That protects the queen. He takes. Okay, queen e2, trying to keep things stable. Seems to be getting in trouble a little bit. Okay, I'll get the king over here. Knight d1 to f2. I haven't got a chance for that. So with a nasty pin, nasty pressure. We've got a time advantage. Oh, coming in. Okay, what about knight d5 here? That tactic to the rescue. Takes, check. Knight e5 takes my thing, but c takes b. I think I'll play this tactic. If I get a pawn up here, it's queening if the knight's over here. So takes, knight e5 takes, queen f3 takes, c takes b7. Am I miscalculating? I think I'm miscalculating now. Takes, knight e5, I take on c6, he takes here, takes, c takes b7, queening. Otherwise knight e5 is killing anyway, I had to do something there. So knight d5, okay, keeps me in the game. Possibly. This is quite tense, this game. I've got it thinking. So the queen gets evicted. I have to move the knight. He's still getting this big knight on e5 pretty soon. Aha! Now, surely my problems are solved. Knight e... maybe there's just bishop e4. Bishop e4. Well, at least it's not, doesn't seem to be losing outright for a moment. If knight takes, okay. This ending looks good. I just take on here. Maybe not that good. Okay, can I use the pawn majority, or is that out of the question? We'll get my king in. It's not that convincing. What about b4? To be able to play bishop d3. b4 and c4. I think I want to hold on to d5. I think I need to get my king over. Is it too late for king c2? Takes g4, king d2, g3, king e2, g2, king f2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, king c2. Okay, g4, king d2, g3, king e2. Okay, I think I'm in the square. If I get this wrong, I've just lost. It takes king c2, g4, king d2, g3, king e2, g2, king f2. I think that's possible. Okay, king to the rescue. So I'm going to end up with a 3-2 pawn majority here. If I just take and then play b4, how is that ending? The ending should be okay. If I play c5, or king e4 just to keep the pass pawn potential. Don't tell me after all that. C5 takes b5. C5 takes b5. How does he stop you? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. He's got. Oh no, that is just gutting. It's just completely gutting game. I don't know what happened, how I messed it up. Takes b5 king d5. I have to agree a draw, I think. Absolutely gutting game from that position. It seemed really promising, but I don't know. Odd. So there was a question just to play rook f1. I thought I'm giving some defensive resource. Just rook f1 is probably absolutely crushing here. If he has to play e, I mean that's just a disaster if he has to play e takes because of the d5 square. That would be harder to defend. So I just gave very valuable defensive resources. This pawn wasn't worth much. It's a shame. I thought knight d5 was a good little trick, but still. Oh well. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.